So today we're going to talk about child labor and coffee, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments, but we'll talk about that later. Well, we're headed off to have a morning beach walk. I already walked the key earlier, as you saw, and I just got a finalized the pricing for the foundation. We're going to change that a little bit. We're going to put in a frost wall, which is like making a mini foundation, and then basically, you know, filling it up with gravel, sand, that type of thing. Putting the foam down, and then rebar and steel stuff, and then the radiant heat, and then pour a slab on top of that. So that one's done. The only one I think I'm missing for pricing for the new house is the propane guys. Still yet to give me a price on a buried tank and a few other items like the installation part, but we got time. So I was going to talk to you about, you know, child labor and coffee, and it's probably not what you're thinking. So Most of the places that produce coffee are relatively small. You know, it's not these mega operations. It's small family farms, very rural. They don't make a ton of money. And in a lot of places in the world, the kids of this family who own the farm have to help with the picking of the cherries to the coffee beans. And, you know, I'm not against that because you would think, okay, well, he's against child labor. And I'm not really against child labor as long as it's under certain conditions. And I mean, I don't know how you find out if those conditions were being met or not. But I know there's places that, you know, the kids, their schooling is stopped for that 3-4 month period. So they are going to school, and it's sort of like their summer vacation, except they have to work. And you're saying, oh, well, kids shouldn't have to work. In other places, the kids pick at certain times. Now, the worst case scenario in that is when the kids, you know, are taken out of school so that they can pick. That one, no, I'm totally against that. I understand it, but totally against it. And the reason that I'm not really opposed to the kids doing it is because, you know, many years ago when our kids were little, we had a farm. It was Sid, me, the kids. And there was stuff that had to be done all the time. So in the summer, Sid and I were busy. So they came to work with us. And our daughter ended up doing like the cashier stuff for the farm stand. How old was Nikki? 12? 8. She started doing that. And she was the person, and she was good at that. She wouldn't have been good at picking or anything like that. But she would give you the money back, you know, even starting at 8. If you gave her a 10, and then she'd give you the change back, and she'd count it back to you. And our son, total opposite. He would have, like, had to sit inside.
He never was.
Huh?
He never was.
No. And he still is like that. But he would go out and he would do picking, and we would pay him so much to do picking. Now, is that a bad thing? No, I don't think so at all. Because, and I actually think that, you know, if more kids had to do stuff like that, it instilled upon them. I mean, both of them have families now. They have their own homes. They're both hard workers. They both follow through on everything they need to do. So is that partly because of that? It could very well be. But did it hurt them? No, I don't think it hurt them one tiny little bit. And that's why I say, as long as it doesn't interrupt their education, I don't see the problem with having your kids, or, you know, if you're going place to place, and your family's helping another family pick coffee and that kind of thing. I don't really see a problem there, because the economics of it are that in a lot of these places, that 3 or 4 month window where the coffee is ripening and different pickings going on and that kind of thing, for a lot of these people, that is their income for the year, period. They, you know, and they can't afford, because they're so small, they can't afford to hire outside labor to come and help. So they have to use their family in whichever way they can. Now, I don't know how you think about that, but maybe you think kids aren't supposed to work or anything else, but from my thinking and my experience, it doesn't do them any harm. Yeah, kept both of our kids out of trouble for many summers while we were doing it, and we also had animals, and there was other stuff that had to be done. And they made money starting when they were little, so they started to understand. You know, it wasn't like we used them just as sort of slave labor. We paid them for what they did, and each of them got money, and then it worked, because even at a young age they started to learn the value of working and money. And, you know, a lot of times I don't see that kids anymore see the value of, you work this much, you get this much. This is how it is. I don't see that. And for, you know, like a lot of these farmers who produce coffee, it's very much like that, because if they can produce their crops, take care of their family, the kids can get an education. That's, you know, a lot of them, that's a great way it is, because they're not in an economic situation where they can get better and better. Hopefully, as time goes on, I mean, this is sort of a sidetrack, but, you know, coffee's been going like this on the open market because there's so much junk coffee. I mean, you know, it's just how it is. Poorly produced beans, don't have any real flavor. They head to places, different companies and all that kind of stuff. So they don't have the market for them. And what these little farmers need to start doing, and I think I said that before, is they need to start trying to, even if it's on a small scale, upping their situation so they produce better and better coffee beans, which will command higher and higher prices. And they won't even have to rely on fair trade and Rainforest Alliance and all that kind of stuff, because they'll be producing a quality bean that other people will want to buy. So, I mean, that's a different topic. But so, no, I'm not opposed to in the coffee farming business. Factories for kids? No, absolutely not. Other industries for kids? No. But for farming, you're out there, you're picking, you're working, you're staying out of trouble, you're helping the family, yeah. You're getting an education, that's a key one. So that when those kids, if they've got an education, can then start looking and saying, how can we make coffee better? And a lot of these families will do coffee for, the children will start doing it as the parents get older, their kids will do it, it becomes on and on. So if they can be educated, make a living, provide for themselves, help their community, all that kind of stuff, to me that's a win-win. So that's how I feel about child labor and coffee.